Okay. All right. So welcome to tonight's group. And this group is about reversing what I'm calling the shame program. So unlike most of them, this has a more particular focus. And it also comes from a lot of the work that we've been doing the past number of weeks to release or reverse different beliefs that are limiting us, that are holding us back, making us feel badly about ourselves or small or scared, not feeling like we're belonging or we're connected. So shame is really underneath a lot of these beliefs, shame and fear. And so tonight we're going to be focusing some more on the larger, bringing all the pieces together in this larger process to help us really shift this patterning inside of us. So we're going to do a few of the breathing techniques and maybe just one of the energy exercises before we get going, so we can really devote a lot of time to this. And also, there's some things that I want to share with you about shame that I think will be really helpful. Those of you who've been with me for a while know that I have a tendency just to kind of like jump in and let's do it, right? Whatever it is we're going to be working on, let's start the breathing, let's start this, let's do it. And with the shame, I want to take some more time and kind of sit in the awareness of it a little bit and expand kind of that awareness of it a little bit inside of ourselves and how it functions in our life before we actually start going to do the work with it. Okay. So let's start with the breathing. And the first breathing pattern, sorry, I'm shifting here a little bit. Okay. So the first breathing pattern is that waterfall breath, right? So we start with that. And actually I can hear somebody's audio there. Good, thank you. Okay. Okay, all right. I don't know why your name didn't disappear. There we go. Okay, all right. So as we start, we're gonna do the waterfall breath. So I want you to sit, get comfortable where you're sitting. You might be leaning against the chair or sitting upright and supporting yourself with the arch in your back and your core so that the whole rest of you can begin to relax more. Feeling your feet on the floor. Well, if your feet are on the floor, but feeling the bottoms of your feet. So bringing our awareness quickly down into our body. Deep breath in and hold it, and then blow that breath out. As you're doing this, beginning to feel your body beginning to relax, the muscles in your shoulders and your arms, and even the front of your torso beginning to let go. And now let's shift this waterfall breath into the straw breath, where we're pushing all the air out through a straw, and really pushing all of it, of course, so we get that carbon dioxide out. We want to get all the carbon dioxide out, so we make that much more room to bring in all this oxygen and all these electrons to support our energy, our electricity, our oxygenation, and our aliveness. Okay, so breathing in, hold it. Using your abdominal muscles to really get that breath out. And then release that breath. Feel the energy. See what you notice about the aliveness within you now. Your heartbeat. And I say the aliveness within you, meaning on the one level, the 3D level within your body, but at a higher dimensional or vibrational level within your field, an energetic level, right? So we can feel ourselves, we can feel our energy, we can feel the movement of energy in our field. And this field is us as much as the inside our skin is us. Our field is us as well. Maybe wiggling your body around now that it's loosened up a little bit to help free up some more of that energy. Help the muscles relax a little bit more. Feel yourself coming more into your body, into yourself again, not up and out. You know, my experience is that energetically, when we're tense, when we're stressed, when we're worried, when we're really focused mentally, much of the time probably, though not necessarily, where our energy kind of moves up and out of our body and we're not really home, we're not really at home. And so part of this practice is about coming home to ourselves again, to the core, to the comfort and the peace of being at home inside ourselves. And allowing a few moments here to feel this. What is your experience right now of being at home inside yourself? As we continue to heal and grow, part of what we are doing is building a relationship with ourselves. We are healing and growing, trying to get that to shift, our relationship with ourselves. And there, that's a little better. Okay. And in healing and growing this relationship, we begin to feel safer inside. You know, I think it's one of the travesties of where we are in our development of emotions as humanity, that so many people feel so uncomfortable being inside themselves and trusting their own emotions. And so being able to do that, to reclaim that, is really important. It's vital for our well-being, as it turns out. So just want you to feel this. And if you've been doing this for a while, whatever work you've been doing for a while, you might let yourself think back to a time when you didn't feel as safe inside yourself, when you had less of a relationship with yourself, before you knew the ways that not supporting yourself was actually creating a conflicted, continuing a conflicted relationship inside. And compare that, see where you are now, and use that difference, which I know is there for everyone, but use that difference to to notice, to trust how much change you are still in the process of making. Beginning to imagine from here what it might be like to have a much more healed and whole relationship inside yourself. We can see dimly from here. And the more that each of us does our work to heal, the more clearly we can see into the possibilities for ourselves, and we move into those greater possibilities, which is just such a lovely thing to do. Okay, so now let's go into the over energy correction. And so you're going to cross your left ankle over your right. You're going to put your hands back to back, or touching each other, and then you're going to put the palms back to back. Bring your palms together, clasp your hands, roll your arms into your chest. And this is the over energy correction. It is activating the parasympathetic. And then what we've been doing here is to take our left index finger, close the right nostril, and breathe through the left, which also helps to open the pathways to the parasympathetic. Okay, so let's do this for a few moments. Feel yourself quieting and calming and centering. Remember to feel the bottoms of your feet. Feel into your arms and your torso. Feel into your legs. So you can feel your muscles and your bones. And that pelvic girdle. And feel the organs inside. See what you can feel. Maybe not much, probably not a lot, but some. Of course, we can feel our lungs as they expand, and we can feel our heart as it beats. Some of us can feel the blood pumping through our circulatory system. Maybe you can feel your stomach, your spleen and pancreas, your intestines, your liver and your kidneys. Your uteruses. Feel the glands inside, the adrenals, the thymus, the thyroid, the pineal, the pituitary. And breathe out the tension, the old energy, the old stuck, hidden, what was hidden energy, and all of that, and breathe that out. And when you're ready, then come out of this posture. Release the breath as you come out. Again, feeling inside yourself. How do you feel inside of you? Okay. All right. So now I want to share with you a little bit about shame. I want to start by saying Brene Brown has been doing such a huge service for us in linking shame and vulnerability and resilience all together. Nobody did this before she started doing it. In fact, nobody talked publicly about shame, I believe, before she started talking publicly about shame and vulnerability, right? Two things that are very uncomfortable for most people to talk about. But she started doing that. And it needed to be done, right? Needed to be said. It's funny, most of you probably know the story that from her first TED Talk, there are something like 8 million, maybe 80 million. I'm not sure how many people have watched it. And she has still not watched the whole thing because it was such a difficult experience. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. But I want to give you her description of shame. So we get a little bit, like, what is this shame thing that we talk about? But let's feel into a little bit more. So she says that it's the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of acceptance and belonging. Women often experience shame when they are entangled in a web of layered, conflicting, and competing social community expectations. Shame creates feelings of fear, blame, and disconnect. Now, that's her quote. I would say that it's not just women who experience shame in those circumstances, but anybody who's in a situation in which they are trapped between a rock and a hard place in terms of their own well-being and social and community expectations, which can happen in so many different ways. And I also would say that shame is an emotion. It does create fear, but blame and the disconnection are actions. So the more shame we feel, the more afraid we feel, the less courage we have to speak, right? To stand in our truth, to speak our truth, to act from our truth. The smaller we feel, an energetic experience, feeling small, but behaviors, we can blame ourselves and go into that, or already be in that pattern of blaming ourselves, blaming others, and disconnecting. So disconnecting also is an action. So one of the things that is true about shame, and it keeps it so powerful, is the secrecy about it, the fact that we don't talk about it, and that it is wrapped in all this judgment, all this these issues of lack of worth. And I've been using the phrase saying that we stockpile, that shame is a stockpiling deep inside, this deep reservoir of damaging thoughts and beliefs, of put downs, and it's mixed with fear and terror and panic and the psychoenergetic, so psychological, but also energetic experience of collapse and recovery. It's like whenever we feel a sense of shame, I realized as I was preparing for this tonight that it's a sucker punch to the gut. And I was like, oh, right. It's a sucker punch to our gut, because our gut, that third chakra, is a place of personal power. And so that's where shame attacks us and knocks out that personal power. So it's very, very disempowering, right? It's damaging in many ways. That's one of the most central. So anything, shaming, humiliating, ridiculing, all variations on the theme, they are all then moves to disempower, right? Distorted, unhealthy shame and humiliation, which is always distorted and unhealthy, as is ridicule, are all moves to disempower somebody, right? So they're power over moves, something that's important for us to keep in mind. And yet there's this healthy aspect of shame that, and it's believed that it's necessary for us to make moral decisions, that we make these moral choices because they make us feel good, not bad. In this sense, shame functions like a compass that's especially focused on decision making, on these moral and ethical decisions, on this sense of if I make the right decision, then I feel stronger. If I make a decision that is not as ethical or not as moral, then there's a part of me that cringes. There's a part of me that doesn't feel good, and so it's that compass really that helps us to make those better decisions for ourselves. So I think, and this is also something that just really has come to me, that the more shame we have, there might be a connection between greater shame and greater difficulty making decisions. If the more shame we feel, the less we are trusting ourselves and believing in ourselves. And if we don't have those foundations, it's much harder to choose. It's much harder to know. It might be also much harder to hear our intuition, right? That quiet inner voice. So that unhealthy shame interrupts our ability to be sovereign beings. So sovereign human spiritual beings. But this needed capacity of shame gets distorted by many influences in life, especially all the judgment used to control behavior. So praising someone for good or as good for approved of behavior is shaming if you're witnessing that and you're not engaging in that behavior, right? So it's a sort of passive shaming. When someone is judged as being bad for behavior that's not approved of, or judging on the basis of whether we're falling in line with the status quo or not, with the expectations and the displaced needs of others, starting with typically parents or caregivers when we're very young. Most of the destructive shaming that we hear starts in those early years, although that's part of the challenge of childhood as well, because children can be very shaming of each other, can be, oftentimes are, until we develop through those tendencies to deal in life in that way. But unlike stockpiling food or ammunition, if you think of a stockpile, which I have been doing, the lifetime of stockpiling shame, it multiplies in its destructive power. So the longer it stays hidden, the stronger it grows. The more we believe in it as true, the more it distorts our responses to life, causing us to feel small. So emotionally shrink, energetically shrink, right? You can feel that, to feel invisible. And energetically feeling invisible is almost like, you fade, like it really is this energetic fade into that kind of wallflower vagueness. As I do it, I can feel my eyes kind of receding back in my head, which I would not have noticed if I wasn't doing this right now. There is kind of a collapse, but there's a receding backwards and a dulling of our life force energy. That's probably what we're doing, and we don't even know it. I think that's true. And the other is one of the other experiences, kind of like a collapse into what I think of as a liquid pool. Just like the wicked, what's her name? Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West from Oz, or from Wicked, right? But in Oz, she disappears, she drains, she shifts, dissolves into water. She really disintegrates. and collapses. And with shame, that's kind of the experience we have. If we feel shamed, we do that. It's like our bones dissolve, and we have to then build ourselves back up and remember that we do in fact have worth. We do in fact matter. We are in fact lovable. So shame has very powerful energetic and emotional components, and the results of which act to severely minimize our capacity for all that's good in life. So shame underlies the disconnect we feel from others, the doubt that we have in ourselves, the difficulty we have making mistakes, being angry and with ourselves for making mistakes, disappointing ourselves, feeling like we're a disappointment, right? That's a shame statement. It keeps us from moving forward, from taking risks and growing. It blocks us from vulnerability, which is a really enlivening quality, from openness and presence and courage. And all of these are emotional, energetic experiences that enliven us. Brene Brown says shame is deadly, that it is lethal. And I think that's likely not an exaggeration. Because of my focus on enlivening, what I'm aware of is that it's deadening. Shame is very deadening. What does it deaden? It deadens our human spirit and our aliveness. So what I've realized is that we can do what she says and begin to be more aware and to talk about shame. That's a start. So what I want to say, there are 4 things that she says that you do to overcome shame. The first one is to recognize it and understand the triggers that activate it. Something we all here, are doing, whether our practice is more mindful or more emotionally healing. Practicing critical awareness, which is really kind of a mindfulness, but it's a contextualizing our experience in a society that fosters shame and shaming. So we remember that this is sort of the air that we breathe, and we need to strengthen ourselves in the face of it. Telling our story, she says that shame can't last in the face of empathy. And I think that empathy really soothes shame. It softens it. It helps us. It softens our heart so that we can love ourselves even when we've been feeling shame. But in my experience, empathy by itself does not eliminate shame and eliminate the stockpiling of shame that we have. So, and then she says, growing our resilience as we speak about shame and bringing out of hiding with trusted others who are supporting us in this work. So I think all those are great starts, but we have these tools that I'm going to say Brene doesn't have yet. And lots of people have a lot of awareness, they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of information, and they have their own set of tools without knowing that would say, there are these tools that are really, much more powerful. And maybe there are tools that are more powerful than the tools I know. But let's go with what we've got and really make a significant impact here, okay? So in the kinds of ways I work, sometimes we're working on the traumas that we've experienced, and we're letting go of the effects, the emotional effects, the energetic effects that are associated with some of the most shaming moments in our lives, which also might be some of the most frightening moments in our lives. So we can release the effects of those traumas. We can reverse the beliefs. We do a lot of that work here. But even that's not enough. There is a whole other level at which we can intervene in this whole dynamic. And that's what I'm calling this shame program. But some of the beliefs that we reverse that have to do with shame are, I'm going to give you some examples here. So, one of the big general ones is I'm not enough. I'm not good enough, right? I'm just not good enough in a gazillion ways we might feel that. But the reverse of that is something like, I'm all that I ever need to have, to be, and do. I'm all that I I wrote that down and I'm messing it up. So what I say is I'm all that I need. I have all within me that I need to have and be and do whatever it is that my being is here to do. Right? That's one of my personal favorites, to really stand in the truth of that. One of the other ones is I don't belong. Many people feel like they don't belong. They feel lonely, isolated, disconnected. The reverse of that is something in the neighborhood of I fully love and support and nurture and nourish myself, and I belong to me. I belong to me. I belong everywhere I want to be. I belong to me. I really open up again my connection to feeling that belonging to life, that belonging to the universe, that connection with all humanity. And my edges begin to dissolve, and I experience my connection with all of life more fully when we reverse that belief. The other one, from I don't matter, right? I'm insignificant, I'm invisible, to I am a sovereign being of the universe, and I am here to reclaim my own power, strength, courage, open-hearted love, and sovereignty, or the right for self-determination. Again, to be and do, have, to bring in, to bring forth, whatever it is my being is here to bring. So those are some of the ways we reverse those beliefs. That's wonderful stuff, but let's look at the pattern, okay? So what we're gonna do now is work with the pattern. So we're gonna start and we're gonna go through the tapping, the belief reversal sequences that we do, but this time we're going to do it with the shame program. So before we start, I want you to feel that inside. Hopefully, some of what I was saying helped you get more in touch with the feeling inside yourself of this sense of shame, this experience of shame, the deep well of it. So I just want you to feel that. You know, that the times when you felt small and scared and afraid, felt like you needed to hide, you needed to withdraw. Or maybe you even lashed out in feeling badly, right? But feel that. And then see if you can feel, I think you'll be able to feel this more on the flip side of this, but see if you can feel kind of energetically the way shame is woven inside. We talked about the third chakra. So you might bring your awareness to that third chakra, and that may be where you experience that reservoir, that deep, dark reservoir of shame, that feeling of me, my being is not okay. It's flawed, as she said. I think that's a good way to say it. And then feel how that energy permeates, right? Or diffuses throughout your being. And you might feel it like ribbons, you know, or like lines of energy that weave a web. A program is like a web that when shame gets triggered, it activates within us in certain very predictable patterns. They're going to be a little bit different for each one of us, but they're going to affect our endocrine system. It's like our energy system reacts to shame first, and then perhaps the thymus. And the thymus may actually trigger all the endocrine effects, although that's just me saying that. And then the nervous system is right there too, right? The nervous system, everything responds so quickly, and then it just spreads out through the whole being, and it spreads out and forms this kind of matrix, this shame matrix. And it's that we're going to be dissolving. Okay. All right. So we're going to start. And again, we're tapping right at the base of the collarbones here. So I want you to say, just to feel it, of course, as we go through this repetitive process, I want to let go of this shame program. And see what that feels like. You are going to encounter fear and resistance as we go through this. How conscious that's going to be, I don't know, but we hold on to shame because somehow we feel like it protects us. We have to hide it. I think part of it is it's buried under so much, defensive framework. And so it really is, there's just a lot of resistance there to hold it in place. So we're going to be really dissolving this resistance. So if you notice that, just keep going, and see where we're going to be on the other side. You might, right before I get us actually going, you might rate yourself right now from 0 to 7, 1 to 7, with 7 being the strongest amount of effect that shame has on you, or your awareness. If you were fully aware, fully open to how much shame is impacting you, where would you be on that scale? Okay, and so as we do this, what we do is say the reverse of the statement that we want to reinforce. We say the reverse and we pair it with the magic phrase, and it shifts the energy of this. Okay. If I could muscle test each one of you, you would notice, you would see the difference. You'd be weak before we did this, and then you'd be strong after. So the first one, even though I don't want to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel better now. Even though I don't want to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm determined to free myself now. Even though I don't want to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am determined to free myself now. Okay. All right. And then say, I want to let go of this shame program, and see what you feel, what feels different. And I know sometimes I go fast. This is a pattern. We're going to repeat the same phrasing. Once you hear the phrasing for the first line, then it's the same phrasing throughout. And so what I've been inviting people to do recently is just say it along with me. Okay, so then that we get through this faster, which I think is a really good thing. So the next one is, it's possible for me to let go of this shame program. Okay, see what that feels like. All right, here we go. Even though it's not possible for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel better now. Even though it's not possible for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel better now. Even though it is not possible for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel better now. Good. And now it is possible for me to let go of this shame program, and see what you feel. Again, you might notice things loosen up. Your back, your neck, your stomach, your legs. I felt a shifting kind of in my legs right away. So, all right, next one. I will let go of this shame program. Okay. Even though I won't let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though I won't let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Good. Even though I won't let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Okay. I will let go of this shame program. See what that feels like. I'll do everything necessary to let go of this shame program. Even though I won't do everything necessary to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I won't do everything necessary to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I won't do everything necessary to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Okay, nice deep breath. I will do everything necessary to let go of this shame program. I give myself permission to let go of this shame program. Even though I don't give myself permission to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though I don't give myself permission to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though I don't give myself permission to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. I give myself permission to let go of this shame program. Okay. The next one has to do with feeling safe. So I'm just going to take us right into it instead of having you repeat the positive one first. So this next one is, even though it is not safe for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though it is not safe for me to let go of this shame program, it's woven throughout me, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though it is not safe for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Good. It is good for me to let go. It is safe for me, to let go of this shame program. The next one's about good, as you may have guessed. So even though it is not good for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though it's not good for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though it is not good for me to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. It is good for me to let go of this shame program. Good. And here's one that's the toughest, most deeply woven, most deeply aligned with this shame program. And it's about deserving. Not surprising, right? Even though I don't deserve to let go of this shame program, at the heart of it, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I do not deserve to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though I don't deserve to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Okay. All right. I deserve to let go of this shame program. Good. All right. Next one is about sort of the secondary benefits, the reasons we hold on, some of the reasons we hold on to these things. So even though I'm not willing to let go of all the benefits or all the reasons I'm holding on to shame, I love myself. I'm going to feel better now. Even though I am not willing to let go of all of the benefits of holding on to this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel better, feel good now. Even though I'm not willing to let go of all the benefits of holding on to this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Deep breath. Next one is about the right. So even though I don't have the right to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I don't have the right to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though I don't have the right to let go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. I have the right to let go of this shame program. Good. Next one's about forgiveness. Even though I don't forgive myself for having this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I don't forgive myself for having this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I don't forgive myself for having this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. I forgive myself for having this shame program. I do. Two more. This one's about forgiving yourself for letting go. So even though I don't forgive myself for letting go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I don't forgive myself for letting go of this shame program, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Even though I don't forgive myself for letting go of this shame program, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. I forgive myself for letting go of this shame program. See if you can feel that. And then the last one. This is about the way it's woven throughout us. Okay. So even though I can't let go of this shame program because it's been woven throughout the whole of me, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I can't let go of this shame program because it has been woven throughout the whole of me, I love myself and I'm going to feel good now. Even though I can't let go of this shame program because it has been woven throughout the whole of me, I love myself and I am going to feel good now. Okay. Now just hold your hands here, a little bit of pressure like a weighted blanket. And with your eyes closed, I want you to feel the energy. See if you can feel the energy of this shame program. Feel what's being loosened up, what's beginning to shift, and then either energetic, like with your hands, you can start pulling the energy of this shame out. Actually, you probably want to, if you're going to do that, you probably want to pull it out of the third chakra. Or feel yourself, feel that energetically leaving from the third chakra. You're sending that shame program, all the strands, all the cords, all the filaments, all the residue of it, the odor of it, right? The feel of it, like all of the texture of it is being released from inside. You're piling it up in front of you in this small or big pile, however it comes to you. Piling it up, letting it go from deep within the energy of that third chakra, from deep within your stomach and your liver, your gallbladder, your spleen and pancreas, and anywhere else. And then you might notice the way that it's woven in your nervous system, up in your brain, like in the limbic part of your brain, and how it activates that fight and flight and that freeze. There's actually a vulnerability kind of freeze, a shame freeze that happens when we feel it. And you might feel that just with me saying it, like the times when you kind of froze like a deer in headlights by shame, right? And so feeling that, sort of the brittleness, the stiffness, the rigidity of that, and then breathing that out, sending that out. Sending waves of peace and calm and safety. Let's send safety. Let's source safety from the divine. So we can bring in safety from the earth, we can bring in safety from the heavens, and feel ourselves breathing in the feeling of safety. And it can align with the safety that we already feel inside. We're probably not used to locating where that safety is. So let's just trust that there is this energy of I'm safe inside. And so that our personal energy and the transpersonal energy merge, align and merge. And feel that safety energy moving into the limbic, especially like the limbic part of the brain. That fight or flight that can be quiet and mild or super intense. So we're going to feel it there first, and it's calming that fight or flight. And as that safety energy and light, the peace and quiet of feeling safe begins to pervade the limbic system, the amygdala, the hippocampus, all those structures in the midbrain begins to calm. And as it begins to calm, it has an effect on the hindbrain or the back, the reptilian or the base of our brain, where the more dissociative energies are. And so that dissociation, or those walls, putting up walls and that disconnect us, those can begin to dissolve as we are filling our nervous system with the energy of safety. Perhaps we begin to notice our heart open and soften a little. And we might even become more aware of the energy in our forehead as that part of the stress or that stress system also begins to feel safer and calmer, and it quiets more. And as we fill this part of ourselves up with that feeling of safety, it begins to spread throughout the whole of us. It goes into the vagal nerve around the ears, down the neck, around the heart. And it also comes up towards the base of the brain. And then it goes down into all the viscera, all our organs. And so it will be through the vagal nerve that deeply internally we begin to relax, and that safety, that feeling of safety begins to pervade. And as our neurochemicals shift to the neurochemicals of safety, the oxytocin, right? Dopamine, probably serotonin, and many other smaller other ones that we don't even remember the words for. But feel that happening. Your endocrine system is shifting. And so as you're feeling more safety now within, see if you can notice more of those threads or filaments of shame, humiliation, embarrassment, ridicule, and breathe them out. You might also notice the energies of ways that the beliefs, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling like you belong, and breathing those out, piling those energies up too, as those beliefs are able to begin to shift more. And they'll continue to shift even after we finish this process here together. And then also pile up those energies, those experiences I talked about before of the shrinking, just that feeling of shrinking. Like, and you can feel like it's like, it may be a stretch, but I want you to feel that program that says shrink, collapse, cave in, disappear. Feel that, however that comes to you. And know that even if you consciously aren't feeling it, that subconsciously you definitely are. And let's release that. Let's release the filament, the filaments, the cords of that energy, that energetic reaction, that pattern of reacting is part of the program, right? This pattern of reacting. So let's get in there and release that. And one of the really wonderful ways that I learned to release is really an unplugging. Excuse me. So in unplugging, you could imagine that these cords or these filaments are like cords, electrical cords, and they're plugged in somewhere, right? So try and get a sense of where that shrinking is plugged in. It feels to me like it's kind of plugged in up here in the fourth chakra, because that's kind of where we cave, right? I mean, that's exactly where we cave, where that caving begins anyway. So I can feel that there. And so I want to unplug that cord there. And because I know that it's connected with personal power and being able to hold my own personal power, then I'm going to also disconnect or unplug from the third chakra. I might also notice some plugging in, some attachment in the throat chakra, right? Where in our throat chakra, we're speaking our truth. It represents, the third chakra, we're kind of standing for our truth. The throat chakra, we're speaking our truth, right? So there's that collapsing, that shrinking, that going invisible. See, and when you're ready, go for a moment to that feeling, if you know what that feels like, of becoming invisible, not shrinking in terms of becoming smaller, but becoming less substantial, right? We are, after all women of substance. So let's unplug that energetic pattern of becoming insubstantial, disappearing. You can set an intention, make a vow to not disappear anymore. To not shrink anymore. To not dissolve or puddle up anymore. And now with this pile, feel this pile in front of you. If you've got everything out, you can get out right now. Feel this pile in front of you. Actually, let's do one more thing. So the pile will stay, it's growing bigger and bigger, but the last thing that I want you to pile up on the pile are all the experiences that come to you. Well, actually, experiences that don't come to you, but that do get triggered unconsciously as we do this, of all the times in your life when you felt shamed. You felt embarrassed, or you felt ashamed, or you were humiliated, you were ridiculed. Somebody called you names, somebody put you down, somebody tore you down, somebody beat you down. And start with your earliest memory, whatever comes, and just let these memories come up. And what I say to people now is, as they come up, like, just kind of throw them out, like throw the energy of it, the residue, it's like a trash bag full of all the dirt that's still inside from it. And just get that feeling of like, I'm throwing this out, like it's active, I'm doing it, and I'm getting some kind of release. I'm getting some kind of, it's active, it's maybe releasing some of the anger, or some of the rage, or so it's a really good thing to just throw it, just pitch it, and keep walking through your life with the different memories that come up. May just be a few, may feel like they're tumbling in, and in that case, just throw the tumble of them. All those repetitions, freeing ourselves of the lingering effects of all those repetitions through our lives. Continue to pile up just for a little bit more, a little bit longer. And now begin to work on removing that pile. And if you've never done this before, it can come to you, do it however it comes to you. Sometimes people want to blow it up. Sometimes the earth wants to suck it up, or, the divine vacuum cleaner in the sky, one of my favorites, comes and pulls it all away. Or sometimes when I'm doing this kind of piling up work, it turns into sand, and I put this sand on a barge, and I send the barge out to the middle of the Pacific Ocean to build up the islands out there again, to transform it into something that feels good to me. Can have a dump truck take it away, have it pulverized and swept away. So many things you can do. Just a couple. There. And if you're having trouble, sometimes what happens with this work is that it's like it wants to hold on. It wants to stay attached. Then the divine vacuum cleaner in the sky is great because it has some pull, right? It's pulling it. And you can think of the plug, you can think of unplugging and unplugging. You can remind yourself that you're safe. It is totally safe for you to do this. Even though maybe it feels scary to parts of you, you want to reassure them that they are indeed safe in letting go of all this dark, yucky shame, this bad, bad feeling. It is one of the best things we can do for every single part of us. And now with that completely gone, I'm going to take a few more minutes. I hope that's okay. Most of you are used to me taking a few more minutes. And I want you to line up in front of you, imagistically, everybody who comes to you, who's in your awareness, who's shamed you. All the places that you know this shame program, that people who were engaged in installing this shame program. Parents, grandparents, siblings, neighborhood kids, school kids, teachers, society at large, church, ministers, others I'm not thinking of. And I want you to send the energy that they put into you, their energy, their shaming energy, their own bad feeling. You're going to pile it up in front of them, each one of them. Dad, here's all yours back. Mom, here's all yours back. Just going to fly it right back at you. Your siblings, here it is. This teacher, that teacher. Minister, I had a very shaming minister, piling all that back up. Friends, especially in middle school. It's when they can be the most shaming. Piling all that up. Anybody else who comes to mind, comes to your awareness, send all that energy back that they attacked you with, like put into you because you didn't have the ability to not accept it, right? It just, you absorbed it. So now you're releasing it, releasing all that energy. They have to remove those piles. And after they've removed all those piles, sometimes they need handlers to encourage them to do this. After they've removed all those piles, the easy thing to do is to send them to therapy because that will help. Okay? All right. All right. Now, nice couple of deep waterfall breaths. And now fill yourself up. Usually we fill ourselves up with light, with color, which you can still do, but infuse that light, that healing light and color, that sparkling, shimmering, glimmering energy with the positive beliefs, with the positive, instead of the shame program, we're dissolving that shame program so that we can create the sovereign program. Let's call it that, our sovereignty. And so feel, even if you don't know exactly what that would be, feel that sovereign energy come in. Feel that believing in myself, trusting in myself, knowing that I am more than sufficient for everything that is good and holy and beautiful. feeling my strength, feeling my core, feeling that core of me being stronger, fortified. As I breathe in, maybe I can feel myself actually breathing in more life force energy into my third chakra. My fourth chakra is more open, right? So it's not closed and tight with fear. It's more open. And as it's more open, I notice that it's very easy to breathe this energy into my third chakra, to pull it in. You know, chakras are vortexes. So to pull that, let the chakra pull that energy in from in front of you and from behind you. And as that energy comes in, it's spreading throughout the whole of you, but it's really strengthening this core. This third chakra is the physical center of our sovereignty. And it's supported by the first chakra, feeling that we belong here, right? Feeling grounded to Mother Earth, knowing we belong here. The second chakra, knowing we belong in the world of humanity, feeling our own humanity, feeling our connection to humanity, to each other. And those things then support this development of this sense of sovereignty. And with an open heart, that sovereignty becomes power for, right? Not power over. It becomes power with, it becomes engagement, it becomes possibility, it becomes creativity, and we begin to speak our voice, we speak our truth. We begin to channel like from deeper parts of ourselves or wherever it comes from, knowing that is deep within us begins to pour forth. We begin to see more clearly. We're not so distorted. We're correcting our distorted lens, our distorted perception. And then we're connecting up with the light. So feeling all that within you now. Breathing it in, marking it in the memory of your field, your bones, your cells. Good. And with this, I wish you a strong week. I wish you a week of more openness to more possibility and feeling more enlivened, and doing perhaps more work would be a great thing, to do more work on reversing more of the beliefs and releasing maybe more of the charge that might still be inside from some of these experiences in our life. So we continue to support this dissolving of this shame program. And so just for a moment, or as we leave, I invite you to take some time, just a moment or so, and see what you notice now about your relationship to shame, right? You are something other. Shame is not you. Shame is something that you got infected with, right? You absorbed. It's a pattern, right? It's not you. So how does it feel different to you? How do you feel different inside yourself now after all this reversing and all this releasing? So I want to thank you for being here. Wish you all that's good and holy, and encourage everybody to keep on keeping on and keep on rising up. Be well.